brink of becoming a failed state.
$1 million and her child have been abducted in Haiti, according to Christian humanitarian.
Carried out by armed gangs,
Port-au-Prince, the capital of Haiti, known for its busy streets, merchants, penny peddlers, and everyday people trying to earn a living. The once vibrant city and its surrounding provinces have now become a hub for gangs and violence. Gangs trade shots with rivals and against the police, not caring who's caught in the crossfire. Kidnappings are a regular occurrence and deaths are part of everyday life. Watch how these three guys enjoying a sunny day while having a beer, and three masked men pull up in a car armed with guns and force two of the three guys in a car and drive off. The capital is home to the most dangerous place in the world, the Village of God. The Village of God is run and controlled by the 5 Second Gang. A name given by their founder, the meaning is simple: betray them, and you won't last more than 5 seconds. The gang is led by two men, Mano aka General Lamass and Johnson Andre, better known as Izzo or Atis Mafia. Mano is much older, a seasoned gang member, and the head of the gang. He keeps a low profile and you rarely catch footage of him speaking or see him without a mask on. He's wanted by the FBI for kidnapping a U.S. citizen in 2021 and holding the victim for ransom for 11 days. The FBI has him as listed as the number 2 man, but many say he is in fact the head of the Village of God. The two men share the village, with each controlling a section, and together form the 5 Second Gang. Izzo, on the other hand, loves being in front of the camera, is highly active on social media, and is regarded as the face of the gang. Initially, he was hesitant to show his face, but over time, as the gang grew bolder and more confident in their belief that they were untouchable, his reservations faded away. Similar to the other gangs in Haiti, they are strong believers in voodoo, a religion originated from West Africa and is now practiced in Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Jamaica, Cuba, Nigeria, Benin, Ghana, Brazil, and even the United States. For example, rapper Fulio out of Jacksonville, Florida, was a known believer in voodoo. The late rapper had this to say about voodoo during a 2018 DJ Vlad interview.
I know that's a big thing in Jacksonville.
Florida.
Right, Florida. Can you describe the voodoo scene? And I think you said your grandma was doing it?
Voodoo. It's like, that's a big thing in Florida, period, though, with Haitians and Zoes and stuff like that, but it really ain't nothing like too crazy. Just, you know what I'm saying? It's just like a way of living.
Can you describe how it works for people that might not know? Like, you know?
You just gotta come to Florida.
Voodoo, Roman Catholicism, and non-Catholic Christians are the major religions of the island. The gangs believe in invoking mythical and ancestral spirits to protect them when they are in battles. The 5 Second Gang is known for its brutality and pure savagery. It's either you are with them or you are not. There's no in between. Their alleged crimes against rivals and innocent civilians include killings, maiming, kidnapping, robbery, extortion, and the R word.
This is a video posted by the gang showing them counting money from a bank robbery. So much money that they had to spread it across several rooms.
When Izzo and the gang are not out terrorizing or going to war with the police or rival gangs fighting for their territory, you can find him and some of his gang members in the studio spitting bars as one of the country's top drill rappers. His music videos can be found on many social media platforms. In fact, he received a plaque from YouTube for hitting 100,000 subscribers.
A video posted on social media shows Izzo flexing, flashing cash, and showing off his YouTube plaque. Only if YouTube had known of the atrocities caused by him and his gang.
When YouTube was made aware of his true identity and actions, his channel was shut down. The only difference between Izzo and drill rappers from the States is that the guns, killings, and atrocities mentioned in their music are real and documented by the police and the UN. However, they are not the only feared gang in the capital and surrounding areas. According to the United Nations, there are between 150 and 200 gangs and bars or groups operating in the capital and nearby provinces. Gang violence hit a staggering number in 2023. With over 8,400 people unalived, injured, or kidnapped. A number that the UN said was more than double the number for 2022. The trend continued in the first quarter of 2024 with 2,505 people either unalived or injured due to gang-related violence. Death has been so normalized that people walk casually by bodies covered with sheets. A father waits for the authorities to collect his son. After hours of waiting, the community decides to block traffic, forcing the police to come and remove the son from the street. While waiting, the father and local residents spoke to journalists.
Was he living with you?
Yes, he was living with me. The reason he left home was because others were telling him that he was 18 now and was responsible for himself. So he'd been sleeping in Chanmas, washing cars with his friends. He never had a problem with anyone. He's always laughing and wouldn't cause any trouble.
Did you have other kids other than Christopher?
Yes, I have 7. 3 boys, 4 girls.
Was he the only victim?
There were many, many victims. By the market, the hospital, all is dead. All is dead. Where is this going, and when will it end?
The violence has caused many businesses to close, and those that stay open have to pay the gang controlling that territory or corrupt cops for protection. Outnumbered and outgunned, the police are on a shoot first and ask questions later basis. They are as gangster as the gangsters. The most feared police officer is Commissioner Jean Ernest Muscaden. The people of his jurisdiction love him. The gangs, however, see him as enemy number one, and many of the top gangs want him as much as he wants.
They can't come to my jurisdiction. They come, I will get them. And when I get them, there is no arresting. I choose not to sleep so they can sleep. Day after day, 24/7, I'm on the streets looking for gang members. I'm eliminating them. It will turn into a cemetery for them. Always inform me. Midnight, 1 a.m., 2, 3 in the morning. We will come get them.
However, there are those that says the commissioner is playing both sides, that he too is connected with local gangs in his jurisdiction. Port-au-Prince wasn't always like this. For years, the gangs slowly expanded their turf with little pushback from the government, and by 2023, had the majority of the capital under their control. The leaders of the gangs are referred to as father, king, emperor, or president. Recently, some gang leaders have been spreading propaganda videos showing them giving money to residents in their territory, aiming to demonstrate to the world how much the people in these areas love and depend on them. We have to get some guys to clean this area. At home, I'm the ambassador. I'm the president. You understand? My people are happy to see me. To the government, he's a menace. To his people, he's Robin Hood.
Because of Lamor San Jou, we can walk the streets. He gives us money and doesn't let his people go hungry.
King, I'm here. Here I am, King.
Like other gang leaders, the people he's giving money to have to pay taxes to live there, so he will get his money back one way or another. Merchants, truck drivers, taxi drivers all have to pay to travel through their territories. And there's no such thing as not paying. It's not just those from the territory that pay. Everyone going through their territory pays. Those who don't pay are beaten, kidnapped, or executed. The U.S. has labeled a former police officer, Jimmy Chérizier, also known as Barbecue, as public enemy number 1 because of his influence on the other gangs. The former officer left the force after he was accused of taking part in a massacre that left 70 dead, an allegation he's always denied. Instead, he claimed he was set up and that a bigger player tied to elites seeking to create chaos to undermine then President Jovenel Moïse was to blame. Barbecue runs the Delma 6 areas and was head of the G9 family and allies. The G9 family and allies was a coalition of gangs that formed an alliance, including the Delma 6 gang, Tokyo gang, Baz Pilat, and several others. Their rival, G-Pep, was led by Gabriel Jean-Pierre, also known as T. Gabriel, leader of the Brooklyn gang. His coalition included alliances with the 5 Second Gang, Grand Ravine, 400 Marozo, and others. Fighting between the two groups led many to flee the region and in some cases the country. A war that had started years prior to the formation of the two coalitions between Iska, head of Bele Coup gang, and T. Gabriel's Brooklyn gang in Cité Soleil, or in English, the City of Sun. The conflict claimed many lives on both sides, with each side accusing the other of committing atrocities.
We all had to run. Shots were going in all directions. We can't go out. They see us, they start shooting, so we have to go through the Boston blocks to make our way out.
Iska, who used to be a math teacher before becoming a gang leader, swore he'd get revenge on T. Gabriel after T. Gabriel ordered the kidnapping of Iska's mom and sent him the video of her execution. Iska ran Bele Coup from 2013 until his death in November 2023. His death hit Barbecue hard. Once on opposite sides of the law, they became unlikely allies after Barbecue left the force and built his own crew. To this day, Barbecue marks the anniversary as a day of remembrance. His second in command, Black Alex Manor, took over but only lasted 2 weeks before one of his own guys took him out. This triggered a messy internal fight within the G9, but in the end, a new alliance was formed. After countless lives were lost and an impending international force set to arrive in Haiti, Barbecue managed to forge a new alliance, bringing the G-Pep gangs into the G9 fold under a new name, Vive Ensemble, which means to live together in English. The alliance took everyone by surprise, cops and civilians alike. It was reported that Barbecue had been shot and almost killed during the battle for the City of Sun back in 2021, and the shooter was none other than T. Gabriel himself. So seeing these two groups team up was the last thing anyone expected. But not all of the gangs were on board with the new alliance, causing some to leave the group. Gang alliances allows the different gangs to venture out of their territory as long as the person running that territory makes a percentage. Alliances or agreements with different gangs is nothing new in Haiti. The UN reported that these alliances had caused a major spike in kidnapping in 2022, with kidnapping reaching levels unheard of. Former Special Representative of the Secretary General for Haiti, Helen Lalime, had this to say at a press conference back in January 2023 about kidnapping numbers for 2022.
Other partners, you know the situation in Haiti is grave. You know that gang-driven violence has reached new heights. On average, we faced one kidnapping every 6 hours in 2022. You heard me?
In March 2024, Vive Ensemble made headlines when they launched coordinated assaults attacking local jails, police stations, government infrastructures, and the capital's largest prison. Their mission: to free their comrades from prison and to strengthen their numbers. Prisoners were given the option to join the gang or risk being killed by angry mobs or vigilante groups in the form of Bras Calais. Their actions went global. From CNN to BBC to France 24 to Fox News to the Wall Street Journal. It even made it to the YouTube Former drug kingpin turned YouTuber Unique Mecca Audio from Harlem, New York, usually focuses on helping young people avoid the mistakes he made in the past. However, in March 2024, he took a break from his regular content to talk about the situation in Haiti. Through a translator, a man caught in the chaos recounted what happened that day.
Explain to us, how did they escape? How did Haiti get in this condition right now?
Yeah, Mackenzie, comment échapper dans prison?
Il y a plusieurs gangs qui mettaient ensemble. Et puis ils ont attaqué et station police qui tout près. Quand on finit attaquer station police, là, ils ont attaqué prison.
Yeah, several gangs put themselves together, attacking police station in their neighborhood, and little by little, and they start attacking prison. And
là, on finit attaquer prison. Ils ont demandé tout prisonnier qui doit rejoindre eux. Gain qui pas rejoindre eux, tuer eux. Gain qui sauver, qui gain temps courir que la population a tué l'autre côté.
Once they break the jail, prisoners, they have like two choices. Most of them join gangs or rejoin gangs. Some try to escape, they get killed. Some escape, but the population kill them.
The attacks lasted several days, freeing an estimated 4,000 prisoners. The Prime Minister, Henry, fresh from a UN-backed deal in Kenya to address the gang crisis, was blocked from landing at the airport. They looted pharmacies, stores, and took over the city's main hospital. The gangs remained in control until the police were able to reclaim the hospital on July 8, 2024. The new Prime Minister, Gary Conille, had this to say about the hospital.
When I was here, 1,500 people used to come to this hospital every single day. And today, it's impossible for them to have access to care. A hospital is not a war zone. Even under the worst circumstances, hospitals are protected.
The attacks made international news, and Barbecue loved the attention. Why do they call him Barbecue, you asked? There are two prevalent rumors about him. One portrays him as a boogeyman who burns the houses of his rivals while they are still inside. The other more plausible rumor is that his nickname originated from his childhood when his mother sold barbecue chicken at the local market. His friends started calling him that to differentiate him from other kids, and the name stuck. Though Barbecue is the head of the new alliance, the gangs operate independently and have their own leaders. You have Vite L'Homme Innocent, leader of the Crase Barriere gang, seen on CNN, and listed on the FBI most wanted list for his crimes. You also have Lamor San Jou, leader of the 400 Marozo gang in Quadre Bouker. Quadre Bouker is where Wyclef of the Fugees is from. The Fugees were a rap group out of New Jersey that had hits like Killing Me Softly and Ready or Not. The music producer / rapper ran for president of Haiti back in 2010, but later dropped out of the race. Quadre Bouker is not what it was in 2010. There's one man in charge, and it's Lamor San Jou. His name loosely translates in English to death for 100 days or death without days. Most people call him Lamor, meaning death.
This is him walking through his territory.
Fellas, I don't want too many guns in my video. Those with guns stay in the back. You understand? I don't want too many guns in my video. Is that a closed business? They must be open next week, because we don't want businesses closed in my territory. Plus, the world has been talking ish about us. Hey, please, my people, I want school open this week.
In this footage, Lamor and his crew burned down a local police station.
La douane, m'vinde douane machine. M'vinde douane machine. Yeah.
Non, oui, mais. Don. Nous va la velle. Nous va la velle. Fini, nous va la velle. Même si nous va prendre nos affaires, mais nous connaissons menti. Nous allons venir prendre douane. Nous venons classer petit poste. Nous venons prendre petit poste. Nous venons prendre douane. Mais ça n'a préparé aujourd'hui. Yeah. Bon, ben, va faire, mais.
His gang made headlines back in October 2021 when they kidnapped 17 missionaries, 1 Canadian and 16 Americans.
This morning, American missionaries in the hands of kidnappers somewhere in Haiti. 17 people, including children, snatched by gangs on their way home from an orphanage yesterday.
Lamor San Jou warned what would happen to the missionaries if they didn't get what they want. That's not all. He also made the news for allegedly kidnapping YouTuber Addison Pierre Malouf in March/April 2024.
Malouf had this to say about his ordeal.
They're like, we like you. That's why you don't have a bag over your head. I was like, oh, thank you very much. They go, do you have any family you can call so that you can negotiate your ransom? And I go, I do have family.
He paid the ransom and was let go. Lamor, on the other hand, refused calling it ransom money, but more of a fee for making him feel welcome. Other gang leaders of territories include Chrisla, Tilapli, Grand Ravine, Buba, Salino, 106 Zombies, Caravan Gang, Jeff Cannon, and more. All running their own territories, all are armed, and all are violent. Alliances and treaties among the gangs are very fragile. All it takes is money discrepancy for an all-out war between the groups. Case in point, the Salino Gang and Barbecue's Delma 6 Gang. The two sides went to war over what some say stemmed from a money discrepancy and the fact that the Salino group declined to join the new alliance. The story goes, Barbecue sent a 10-year-old to Salino's territory on a reconnaissance mission with just a phone and no backup. He was to take pictures of the Salino's gang positions and report back. Unfortunately, the scout was captured and sad to say he will not be scouting again. The excess of violence and lack of respect for life have caused many to leave the city for safer places like Cap Haitian and Jacmel. The homes left behind are now controlled by the gangs. Anything left of value now belongs to them. The gang's weapons of choice are military-graded weapons of high caliber.
In this video, Lamor taunts the police, showing off his guns and ammunition after the police announced increasing checkpoints to stop vehicles suspected of transporting illegal weapons to his gang.
These weapons are usually trafficked from the United States to Haiti, mostly out of Florida. The U.S. has made some arrests, but not enough to make a dent in the number of guns trafficked.
It follows a recent increase in firearm and ammunition smuggling to Haiti and other areas in the Caribbean.
Yeah, guys, take a look at this firepower we have on these tables here. These are sniper rifles. We have some other semi-automatic rifles. Over here on this table, we even have an AK-47. And these are the guns that Homeland Security Investigations Office here in Miami Sierra increasingly flowing into the Caribbean, specifically into Haiti. So how do these weapons get down to Haiti? Well, officials say they're often concealed in other shipments, so they may be buried in a large container with other items. And the authorities...
As gangs fight for more territory, their appetite for guns and ammunition only grows, fueling the need for more money, resulting in more crime. Deaths in the capital have skyrocketed since these gangs started popping up everywhere. It's been alleged that corrupt cops and politicians are connected to these gangs. Now, politicians, businessmen, and corrupt cops working with gangs is nothing new in Haiti. In November 2022, Canada imposed sanctions on former President Michel Martelly, accusing him of funding gangs and drug trafficking, followed by the U.S. doing the same in August 2024, alleging the former president used his power to help traffic drugs to the United States. The sanction announcement also accused Martelly of laundering money from drug deals, collaborating with drug traffickers, and supporting several gangs based in Haiti. He is accused of funding gangs of Baz like Baz 257, Village of God, Baz Pilai T-Boys, and Grand Ravine by giving them money and guns. In October 2023, the UN Security Council panel of experts released a 156-page report on the gang crisis and the players, politicians, and business elites who helped create it. It's not just former President Martelly. Gangs and different political groups have long been used by politicians, businessmen, and the bourgeoisie to achieve their desired outcomes. These tactics include intimidating the opposition, crashing rallies, preventing protests, creating instabilities in key voting regions, and taking over voting centers to tell people whom to vote for. Former Member of Parliament, Profane Victor, was sanctioned by Canada in 2023 for allegedly arming young people in the Petite Riviere area to help him get elected in 2016. The group of young men formed the Grand Griffe Gang and is now one of the largest gangs in the La Thibonade area. You also have former Senate President Yuri Latortu, who helped finance and arm the Rabateau and Coco Rat Sans Raz gangs. It's not just politicians who have been alleged to work with or fund gangs in the capital. You have the big three: businessman Reynold, Deeb, Sherif Abdallah, and billionaire Gilbert Bigio. The three are accused of money laundering, financing criminal activities, and smuggling heavy caliber weapons into Haiti to arm gangs and Baz to create instability and chaos in the capital and surrounding provinces. Billionaire Gilbert Bigio and his family have been surrounded by rumors and allegations for years, with claims linking them to political uprisings and coups that worked in their favor. The Bigio family originally moved to Haiti in 1896 and built a massive fortune through various business ventures. It's rumored that Bigio was the money guy behind Martelly's presidential campaign. After Martelly won, Bigio allegedly got his reward Port Lafido, a joint venture between his company and the Haitian government, where they received a $12 million investment from the World Bank's IFC. Bigio also served as Israel's honorary consul in Haiti for over 20 years, giving him special protections like the police not being able to search his home or office because of his diplomatic status. The panel of experts also claimed to have evidence that Reynold Deeb, the COO of Dika Group, had been financing gangs to pressure customs officers, allowing him to bypass import duties, as well as paying the gangs for safe passage of his merchandise through their territories. Other notable wealthy people with a say in Haiti's political direction include billionaires Denis O'Brien, Gregory Meaves, seen here with former President Bill Clinton, and Reginald Boulos. Boulos has been linked to various political instabilities in Haiti. His name came up in connection with President Jovenel Moise's murder, a claim he has denied. Boulos has also been alleged to have funded the GPEP gang and participated in the removal of then-President Aristide. So Haiti's gangs or Baz is a complex puzzle that touches many factors of the government and those with money. But how did this small shanty town named Village of God become the no man's land that it is today? And if the allegations are true, why haven't the police gone on the offense to capture Izzo and Mano and capture the Village of God? Here's the thing. The police have tried and have been trying since 2018, while the world was dealing with the C virus in 2020. The 5 Second gang was knee-deep in a war against the police and other gang rivals. The police have incurred many casualties in the battle against them and other gangs. However, to understand Mano and Izzo is to understand Haiti, the Village of God, and the gang leaders that came before them. Haiti's history goes back to the arrival of Christopher Columbus in 1492. Columbus, on his first voyage across the Atlantic, landed on the island of Hispaniola, which Haiti shares with the Dominican Republic, or DR. Back then, the island was inhabited by the Arawak or Taino people. You know the story. The new settlers claimed the land and got rid of the Tainos through diseases, enslavement, and violence, making it the first genocide of the New World. Fast forward to 1697. The Spanish lost control of the western part of Hispaniola to the French, now Haiti, and kept the eastern part, now the Dominican Republic. Haiti becomes the wealthiest colony in the French Empire, mostly due to a brutal system of slavery. Haiti accounted for a significant portion of France's economy. This wealth was crucial in helping France finance its own endeavors, including support for the American Revolution. 500 Haitians fought alongside American and French forces in the siege of Savannah, Georgia during America's fight for independence.
On October 8, 2007, Georgia unveiled a memorial statue honoring those 500 Haitian soldiers for their brave contributions during the Battle of Savannah in the American Revolution. So the next time you celebrate the 4th, make sure to salute those brave soldiers.
Fast forward to 1804, Haiti won its independence from France, making it the second country in the Americas after the United States to free itself from colonial rule. Their win against the French sent shockwaves. The global powers, the United States, the British, and Spain, refused to recognize the island as a free sovereign nation. And why would they? Haiti's very existence as a free black nation was a dangerous idea, the proof that enslaved people could rise up, win, and rule themselves. It was a story that could unravel the global order. In his speech in Chicago, Frederick Douglass spoke highly of Haiti's victory against the French. He praised Haiti as a source of hope and inspiration for oppressed people everywhere, demonstrating that even enslaved people could successfully overthrow their oppressors and establish an independent nation. Haiti continued to help other countries fight off colonialism. They helped free the Dominican Republic from Spanish rule in 1882 and helped liberate Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, and Bolivia. It's that same rebellious blood of the slaves running through the gangs of Haiti that have taken over the capital and nearby provinces. Fast forward to 1988/89, after centuries of turmoil in the country, General Raoul Cedras, the last military leader of Haiti, gave the okay for people to be able to build in the area which later became the Village of God. At the time, the non-residential military zone was uninhabitable and vacant. It was muddy and required residents to firm up the muddy grounds before building. Slowly, people who couldn't afford life in other parts of the capital began moving into the area as the land was cheap due to its poor condition. With zero help provided by the government, it was up to the people of the town to better themselves and build schools, hospitals, etc. Fast forward to February 1991, Aristide gets elected president and takes office. In June of that year, he promoted Raoul Cedras to commander-in-chief of the army, a decision he'd soon regret. 8 months into his presidency, Cedras led the coup that sent Aristide into exile. Aristide, the former priest who rose from the slums to the presidency, was ousted because his policies favored the poor and the elites were not having it. Led by Cité Soleil, or City of Sun, the country plunges into violence and chaos. City of Sun was a slum area in Port-au-Prince. It was a no-go zone and you could not enter without knowing someone in the area. They were strong supporters of Aristide and were not happy about the coup. It was the time of the Zenglendo, a term given to criminals that were going out looting, stealing, and committing all sorts of crimes in various neighborhoods. This led to towns forming vigilante groups or brigades to hold neighborhood watches at night and stop intruders that were not from the town. At that time, the Village of God had a very small population and they formed their own brigade. They would patrol the streets armed with knives, bats, and machetes. The instability caused many to leave the City of Sun and seek refuge in neighboring villages, and one of the places they migrated to was Village of God. They came by boat and canoe, but found that their neighbors weren't neighborly at all. The residents of the Village of God saw the people of the City of the Sun as thugs and gangsters. Led by Jean Ronald, the brigade made it their job to police the town and stop the people from the City of Sun from entering. They started victimizing the people who were coming from the City of Sun and forcing them to live in the outskirts of the town or to go elsewhere. They put in place curfews and punished those that weren't following the curfews. One of their victims was a young Arnel Joseph. Arnel would later become one of the most notorious gang leaders in the Village of God in Haiti. He was from the La Thibonade area and would come in and out of the village causing mischief. He had several run-ins with the brigade.
The story goes, one day Arnel was accused of stealing and was beaten by the brigade and let go with a warning. Arnel, however, stuck in his ways, was caught a second time while stealing batteries and they again gave him a beating and made him drink the battery acid. However, they let him live. The third time he was caught and accused, Arnel sensed that this could be his last time breathing and managed to wrestle a gun from one of the brigades, allegedly shooting one of them and fleeing the scene.
Fast forward to 1994. Under President Bill Clinton, the U.S. sent invasion forces into Haiti, reinstating Aristide back into power. In return, Haiti granted access to its minerals and agreed to a new rice trade agreement with the Clinton administration, which involved dropping tariffs on rice imported from the U.S. The U.S. imported rice was much cheaper than the rice grown locally in Haiti. In the 1970s and 1980s, rice imports to Haiti were under 20%, but by the 1990s, that number soared to over 80%. As a result, farmers who had sustained their livelihoods for generations by growing rice suddenly found themselves struggling to feed their families. Many left their rural areas and moved to the capital, seeking new ways to support their families. Aristide, in his return, sent siegers into exile, dismantled the military, and replaced it with a national police force. Many military personnel joined the police force, while others joined armed groups or started what became known as BAS. BAS is like a local members-only club where like-minded people gather for social and political events. At the time, many of them supported Aristide, had ties to the local police, or were police officers themselves. With the police force in place, brigades or vigilante groups slowly went away. However, not in the Village of God. Fast forward to 2004. After weeks of unrest, Aristide was yet again ousted. It was alleged that the CIA and Haiti's bourgeoisie were behind the coup. It was during this time that a local thug named Reginald and his group in the Village of God attacked the brigade and took over the village. Reginald's family was one of the migrants from the city of Sun who moved into the area after the first time Aristide was ousted. Reginald saw how the brigade mistreated his parents, and now that he was in control, he was asserting his revenge. After taking control, they went to Jean Ronald's house, the leader of the brigade, but only found his daughter. They killed the daughter and burned the house. During his control, many of the brigade left the village. Some went to a nearby baz called Pilat, while others went to other towns. Ruman's reign on top was short-lived. He was only able to stay in power for about a year. He and his gang, in a brazen act, kidnapped a French citizen in front of the French embassy. The kidnappers made first-page news and brought international attention to the gang in the Village of God. This put a lot of pressure on the Haitian police. In March 2005, the police arrested Reginald and his second-in-command, ending his short life as the first gang to run the village. With Reginald gone, his gang was dismantled. The police took over and placed Jean Ronald back as the head of the town. With minimal police presence in the village, Jean Ronald's group was to act as a liaison between the police and the people. Back in control, they went back to their old ways of patrolling the streets and targeting those that may be associated with gangs or bandi. Then came Tuesday, the 12th of January, 2010.
It's being called a catastrophe of major proportions. The Caribbean island nation of Haiti has been rocked by its biggest earthquake in more than 200 years. The 7.0 quake hit just south of the capital, Port-au-Prince, and was followed by 24 strong aftershocks. There's been widespread damage and panic as the tremors leveled buildings across the region. Hundreds of people are feared dead.
The reported deaths from the earthquake were 160,000, but the Haitian government said it was probably closer to 300,000. The earthquake took down homes, schools, the presidential palace, and various infrastructures, including prisons, causing many prisoners to escape. One of the escapees was T. James, or Little James, brother of Reginald, who was arrested for kidnapping the French citizen at the embassy. Little James made his way back to the village with another guy named T. Freddy. They informed the brigade that they were not coming to cause trouble. They were raised in the village, and this too was their home, resulting in an agreement where the two groups would coexist. The agreement stayed intact for about a year until Arnel Joseph returned in late 2010. Arnel, if you remember, was the guy they made drink battery acid, and he later killed one of the brigades during the scuffle. While away, he planned his return. His goal was to get rid of Jean Reynold of the brigade, followed by getting rid of T. Freddy and his group. He did just that. He came back armed with his own gang and killed Jean Reynold, leader of the brigade. He then doubled back a couple of weeks later and got rid of T. Freddy. To everyone's surprise, Arnel again left the town. His plan was to take over not just Village of God, but the surrounding towns as well. Like before, many of the people who were connected to the brigade left the town for fear for their lives, and so did many of T. Freddy's group. Arnel would later get locked up for the killings. During this time, another youngster from Jeremy named Johnny saw this as his opportunity to take control and formed his own gang. Johnny had moved from Jeremy to the Village of God. Like kids his age, Johnny sold tom-toms on the streets. Tom-toms were a kind of food people sold in the street markets. As there was no infrastructure, jobs, or schools in the village, and the police were non-existent, it was easy for the youth to get involved in crime. Johnny's gang, the Maroon Squad, ruled from 2011 to 2013. It was the most violent of the early gangs of Village of God. As an outsider to the town, he was always suspicious of what remained of the brigade and T. Freddy's gang. As a result, he pushed them to the outskirts of the town and terrorized those who came through the town, killing many during his leadership. Some of the people who left went and lived in tents placed in the stadium after the earthquake, while others lived in the other wards of the town. The people on the outskirts and in the tents were fed up with Johnny, so a group of guys ranging from their late teens to early 20s teamed up to get rid of him. However, they couldn't do it alone. They went to their neighbors Boz Pilot for help. Boz Pilot was mostly made up of former police officers and young guys from their neighborhood. It's been alleged that the group has also included active police officers. One officer alleged to have played a part in the fighting against Johnny and his Maroon Squad was Bato Luxin, an ally of Boz Pilot. With Boz Pilot, the youth from the Village of God, and Officer Bato Luxin teamed up to take down Johnny and the Maroon Squad. With them was a young Mano, the future leader of the 5-second gang currently controlling the Village of God. Many say it was Bato Luxin that helped turn Mano into a bandit or gang leader. Armed with guns and machetes supplied by Boz Pilot and police allies, the group decided it was time to remove Johnny and his Maroon Squad. For close to a year, the two sides engaged in sporadic shootings during which there were casualties on both sides. The fighting took a horrific turn on December 31st, 2012.
YouTuber Gustav Jonas lived most of his life in the Village of God and shared his memories of that night. He goes into how Bato Luxin, Boz Pilot, Mano and others attacked Johnny and the Maroon Squad. In the chaos of that night, one of Bato Luxin's close friends, someone he personally brought into Boz Pilot, ended up losing their life during that night. It wasn't just that he died, but the actions that took place after.
That was his friend. He brought him into the group. At the time, you had the Maroon Squad with Johnny at the helm. It was the 31st of December and the war was on. He came in to fight Johnny's crew. With him were a mixture of Boz Pilot members, some police, and others. They launched the operation. It was super late. They made it inside. But Bato Luxin friend must have been too far ahead. The guy started pulling back, and by the time he started pulling back, it was too late. They surrounded him. The Maroon Squad had him surrounded. They captured him and played soccer with his...
After hearing the news, Bato Luxin lost it. This was his friend, a civilian, not someone accustomed to doing drills or going on missions. Furious, Bato Luxin swore he'd return the favor if they ever caught Johnny. Ultimately, they did just that. Johnny was shot and captured during a shootout with the group. After his death, the group played soccer with not a ball but his. I'll leave that to your imagination. With Johnny gone, the person to lead the group was a man named Deuce France, better known as Adley. Adley grew up in the area and was to act as the go-between for the people and the police. If something happened in the village, the police would come to him first. The people called him the president, and he was the go-to guy if you wanted the town to vote a certain way during elections. Adley knew that the best way to stay in power was to make sure the people that fought to remove the Maroon Squad were rewarded. One of the first things he did after taking control was to appoint heads to different areas of the town. He gave an area to Mano and his crew, but little did he know Mano would later play a part in his demise. Adley's plan worked, and he remained in control of all criminal activities in the village until 2018. During his time, Adley was able to make connections with corrupt cops, politicians, and members of parliament. However, the connection that made the most noise is his connection to former President Martelly. The shrewd, charismatic, and well-liked gangster was on top of the world.
Adley so comfortable in his leadership that he even posted a picture of the two in a Facebook post. Many of the comments read, "President with a president." Another wrote, "Two presidents having a good time."
Through his political contacts, he was able to get his passport and travel abroad, including to the United States, Paris, and other parts of the Caribbean. To the outside world and to many outside of the capital, he appeared to be a man who was looking out for the betterment of his town. He was responsible for getting his people jobs and helping families with school supplies. His gang would work for hire when politicians needed to get rid of someone who stood in their way. It's been alleged that police cars were used on missions on behalf of politicians and businessmen during his regime. However, one of Adley's mistakes would turn fatal. He had one of his guys take out a man who turned out to be Arnel's close friend. Arnel, who was in jail at the time, considered the victim a brother. Enraged, he vowed to get revenge once he was released. Once released, he put his plan into action. He knew Adley since they were kids, but Adley had taken it too far. Adley, comfortable in his position and feeling untouchable, didn't see Arnel as a threat. Mano, no longer seeing eye to eye with Adley, joined Arnel and his crew to take down Adley.
March 7, 2018. After several shootouts, Adley's arrogance cost him his life when Arnel and Mano's gang attacked and Adley was shot and killed.
With Adley gone, Arnel was in control. He told those that were loyal to Adley that they had a choice: join the new regime or leave. With one caveat, you will be considered an enemy and will be treated as such should you return. Arnel's name became synonymous with terror in Port-au-Prince, particularly in the Village of God. His gang was involved in numerous violent crimes, including murders and kidnappings, creating a climate of fear in the capital. While in power, he was able to expand the gang into other territories like La Tibonite. He became a local celebrity known as the Emperor by his people. Arnel, operating with little to no fear of the police, held press conferences with his men and called into radio stations to taunt the police and rival gangs.
In September 2018, on the run from the police, Arnel had an interview where he told the police his exact location and asked them to come get him.
So now, they are looking for you. The police are looking for you.
They were always looking for me.
Why are they looking for you?
They've been looking for me since I left prison.
So you are wanted now. You are a wanted man. Wherever you go, they will find you.
If they want me, they can come get me at the Village of God. I'll even tell them how to get to me.
Why not give yourself up to the police?
They can stop by if they can. I'll tell them exactly where I'm at and how to get there.
Well, they are listening, so just tell them where.
Oh, I'm at the village. They can come through the main entrance, go through the corridor, and they'll find me.
This disrespect of the police would go on until his demise.
Arnel ran the Village of God plus parts of La Tibonite with the constant threat of being arrested or killed by the police or by rival gangs. His hunger for new territories created beef on two fronts. There was an ongoing war with their neighbor Baz Pilat, a war that started after Adley was killed. Remember, it was Baz Pilat that helped put Adley in power. Both sides accused each other of shooting residents who were caught in the territory of the other. He also had an ongoing war with the Tissouri gang in his hometown of La Tibonite. He would go to and from the two territories, all while dropping his location for the police to come get him and shoot it out face to face. He was Mr. Untouchable and felt comfortable leaving the Village of God in the hands of his number 2, Mano, and his protege, Izo. Mano had seen many wars and regimes and had Arnel's trust. He was Adli's second in command and enforcer. Izzo, seen here in this music video, was much younger and grew up in the area. As a kid, he was a big fan of Haitian rapper Zolan and would practice his raps in the mirror. He even named himself Izzo after the rapper. He and his two cousins wanted to be the next rappers out of Haiti to make it big. But like many stories from the ghetto, tragedy struck and things went left. He lost one cousin, then the other just a couple of weeks later to violence. Their deaths took a toll on him. He wanted revenge and picked up his first gun and never looked back.
Izzo, in an interview with YouTuber Jonas Gustave, had this to say about the incident.
At what age did you start carrying a gun?
I was 20. During Arnel's reign, it was P. Lot that made me carry my first gun. Before Arnel, I wasn't holding. It was during Arnel's regime. They killed my cousin and killed my friend for no reason. That day, P. Lot's people killed 3 people from Village of God. Not sure what Arnel did to them. Maybe they lost some key players and needed revenge. They killed 3 people from the village. My cousin was one of them. At that time, I didn't do anything, but then they killed my friend. And the guy that killed my cousin. I've already solved his problem. What he was looking for, the medicine he was looking for, he found it. The others that were involved left town.
His propensity for violence caught Arnel's attention and took him under his wing. Izzo worked his way up to the point where if you needed to get to Arnel, you would have to go through him. Arnel, a fugitive at the time, was wanted by the police and had a $27,000 reward for information leading to his arrest. However, that didn't stop him from continuing to kidnap, kill, and extort locals in his territories. He and his gang continued their work for hire services for Haiti's oligarchs, politicians, and corrupt cops. Things were going well for Arnel. He had a home in the village and was building a mansion in his hometown of Latibonite for himself and his crew. The fighting in Latibonite was heating up and needed reinforcement. Arnel left the Village of God to back them up, leaving Mano and Izzo in charge.
While in Latibonite, his conflict with the T-Sourit gang would escalate and eventually land him in jail. 4 of his guys hijacked a truck container, but with the roads blocked, they had to ditch the main route and go off-road to get back to the compound. While on the road, they were ambushed by T-Sourit and his crew. 2 managed to escape, 1 didn't make it, and the other got captured. T-Sourit made him call Arnel to let him know they had one of his guys. The message was clear: if Arnel wanted his man back, he'd have to come and get him. After the call was placed, the man was killed. The next morning, Arnel, his crew, and Audemars Louis-Saint, leader of the Grand Grief gang, hit back, launching an attack on the T-Sourit gang. Arnel was hit during the fighting, but Audemars managed to get him to safety. He would later say that it was T-Sourit who shot him.
Audemars was knee-deep in his own fight against T. Mépris and his group in Savy and Latibonite. He started out as a work-for-hire guy for politician Profane Victor. This is the same Profane that was later sanctioned by Canada and the U.S. for allegedly funding gangs. Profane allegedly handed Audemars, a young auto mechanic fresh out of high school, his first gun back in 2016 to help him win an election. The two kept working together, and during that time, Audemars and his crew were able to stock up on artillery with Profane's help. They became Profane's own boogeymen. In return, he promised jobs in schools to help the men in Audemars' area. Profane made his way into Parliament, but the promises never materialized. The jobs never came and things went south. Audemars described his relationship with Profane and Arnel during a press conference in his hometown.
It's because of Profane all these things are happening. It's because of him I'm a bandit. I don't see a reason to mask up or cover my face. I want you to see me clearly. If you label me bandit number 2, then Profane is bandit number 1. If you label Profane number 2, then I'm number 1. For some time. Since before the election and after the election, we were still working together. But the conditions changed. He wanted me to take out some people for him for money. But that wasn't the condition of our agreement. The conditions were that we would get the Olivia mechanic contract. He had told us if he wins, we win, but when he won, he only cared about himself. He won and did nothing. All he does is tell people to go take this person out, and I'll pay you. Sometimes I take the money and don't do the job. When he noticed that I was no longer doing the jobs, we became useless to him. When he asked me why I'm not taking the jobs, I told him because that wasn't our agreement. We were supposed to get the mechanic jobs at Olevaya. He knew that was my profession. I've fixed cars for him before. We're not dependent on Arnel. Arnel is a friend, but we're not under him. If you think about it, if it weren't for us, they would have taken Arnel out. It was me that carried him to safety after he was hit. You understand? He was here until he and his wife decided to go to the hospital.
With his injuries worsening, Arnel made his way to Lumia Hospital. At the hospital, the police were alerted, and Arnel was arrested. While in jail, his phone records revealed he'd been in contact with a local senator. At a press conference held by the head of the Haitian Parliament's Justice and Security Commission, Senator Jean Renaud Senatus revealed that several calls were made to and from a senator, and that senator's name was Gracia Delva, a former musician.
A total of 24 conversations made via phone calls, some lasting 15 minutes and 92 seconds, some lasting 12 minutes, some lasting 1 minute. The calls were made on February 17th, 2019 through February 22nd, 2019. We've decided as a commission to listen to the senator that the phone number is associated with.
What's the name of the senator?
The name of the senator is Gracia Delva.
Whom does the other number belong to?
The number we pulled the calls from is a number associated with Arnel Joseph. And the number that made the calls to that number is a number associated with Senator Gracia Delva.
You have the dates?
Gracia didn't deny knowing Arnel, but denied the allegations.
As for me, Gracia Delva, I only have one position. If the commission finds in my conversations with Arnel that I associated with or engaged in any of Arnel's activities, then I will gladly pay for my actions. If I was involved with Arnel in kidnappings, burglaries, supplying him with guns, speaking with him about guns, or terrorizing others, then the Senate should arrest me, find me guilty, and send me to prison.
So there were times not denying speaking with Arnel?
Listen, I speak with everyone. I have the same number since 2010. It's a number that everyone knows. I've never changed it, which means everyone calls me. Anyone can call me.
Delva fans and the people of Haiti were shocked to hear the news. It was yet another scandal involving a politician and an unknown gang leader. This wasn't the first time Delva had been connected to the underworld. The United States deportee was alleged to have connections to former Haitian drug kingpin turned informant Jacques Ketin. The U.S. cut Ketin's sentence in half for cooperating and sent him back to Haiti. And guess who was at the airport to welcome him? Delva and Roro Nelson, a close friend of former President Michel Martelly. Back to the calls mentioned during the Justice and Security Commission press conference. Turns out the calls were tied to a kidnapping carried out by Arnel's 5 Second gang. On March 14, 2019, a businessman who just so happens to live next door to Senator Delva was kidnapped along with 2 of his workers. They were taken to the Village of God and later taken to Arnel and La Tibonite. Allegedly, multiple calls were exchanged between Delva and Arnel while the man was being held captive. On March 16th, the businessman's wife called Delva for help, not realizing he was already in talks with the kidnappers. The next day, March 17th, she reached out to him again to see if he was able to look into it. He informed her that he hadn't heard anything regarding the kidnap. A $110,500 ransom was paid, and the businessman and 2 employees were released. Delva never informed the police nor the businessman's wife of the calls with Arnel. With Arnel in jail, the Village of God was left under the control of Mano, Izzo, and Math. Math and his crew had been part of Arnel's group in La Tibonite. They left La Tibonite after Arnel was arrested, each having their own crew and sections of the village to run. However, even from jail, Arnel was still calling the shots. One decision, however, would later create a rift between Arnel and his generals on the street. Arnel, with more time on his hands, started to feel uneasy about Mano and Izzo. Mano he could control, but Izzo was a wild card.
Izzo had no fear. This footage shows Izzo exchanging shots with the police during a shootout. In a video posted in December 2020, Izzo is seen disciplining a crew member for running during a shootout with another gang. When he made it back to the village, Izzo decided to punish him. His punishment: a shot to his foot.
Izzo had earned the respect of his crew, and his propensity for violence had made him a threat. In fear of losing control, Arnel came up with a plan. He wanted to install a new person on the grounds to be his eyes and ears. Word made it back to his generals. The three met and voted no to having to report to another person other than directly to Arnel. It was Arnel or no one at all.
In a video response to the gang, Arnel called out Izzo by name, reminding him and the crew of their bond. He told them he loved them like sons and expected them to listen to their father. But he also made one thing clear: he had no mercy for traitors or anyone who went against the gang.
I have to talk to you about something. And I know it's been a while since I spoke to you all. You know how the game is. I love all who belong to 5 Second. While I love you all that are in 5 Second, I need you to do the wishes of your father. Don't pay attention to anyone who wants to give you bad advice and play with your minds. If they're giving you poor advice, then they don't love you. Know that I'll be out one way or another. That's all I can tell you. I love you guys very much. Say what's up to all the guys for me. And remember, the game is betray us here, die here. If you betray us, you die in 5 seconds. The same goes for my mother. The day she betrays me is the day she dies.
Rumor in the ghetto was that Math wanted to side with Arnel's plan, but went along with the vote out of fear that the other two might turn against him. Arnel's next move would give credence to the rumor. He made contact with Math and made it clear what needed to be done. Izzo must go, and Mano need to fall in line. Math had his orders. He assembled his crew and went to take out Izzo. While Izzo and his crew were hanging out at his house, Math launched his attack and a shootout broke out. However, it didn't go as planned. 6 members of Math's crew lost their lives. Outmanned, Math decided to make a run for it. He jumped on his motorcycle and left the village. He made it out, but only to be spotted while riding through Pilat's territory. They took his weapons, and that was the end of Math. Surviving the attack only emboldened Izzo and added to his mystique. Fast forward, February 25th, 2021, Arnel breaks out of prison.
Before his escape, Arnel sat down with reporters for a question-and-answer interview. Never one to shy away from the spotlight, he told them he'd be out of jail soon, that he saw his time there less like a sentence and more like a hospital stay to heal his leg wound. Once he was better, he'd be gone.
Actually, I'm about to get out. You see, next month I'm out. Next month. Some things I don't have to tell you. You're going to hear it in the news.
Guards were bribed to smuggle guns into the jail, which ended up in Arnel's hands and others. When recreation time came, they sparked a shootout with the guards. In the chaos, Arnel broke out and joined armed accomplices waiting outside. They hijacked a car and left.
Rare footage captured by civilians shows Arnel and his crew hijacking a car not far from the prison. In the clip, you can see the driver ditching the vehicle and leaving the scene.
Now, this wasn't Arnel's first prison break. He escaped in 2010 and 2017 from the National Penitentiary while serving time for the murder of several policemen. The breakout made national news. Former President Jovenel Moise took to Twitter to condemn the escape. Arnel knew he couldn't go back to the Village of God after the failed hit on Izo, so he set his sights on La Tibonite to regroup. He spent the night in Croix de Boucaire and took off for La Tibonite before sunrise. While riding a motorcycle through the La Tibonite area near the town of El Esther, he was spotted at a police checkpoint. With no place to run, Arnel pulled out and started shooting at the police. The police returned fire, and Arnel was shot dead during the shootout. With Arnel out of the way, the police decided it was time to put an end to the 5-second gang. They put a plan together, but it came with challenges. The village had only 2 drivable entrances, and one of them was a dead end. Not to mention the gang had already proven they had a knack for violence. However, that wasn't enough to call off the operation. After all, the gang was just a bunch of hooligans with guns. No match for a highly trained SWAT unit, or so they thought.
In the early hours of March 12, 2021, 14 days after the death of Arnel, members of the SWAT team launched a raid on the Village of God, aiming to wipe out the gang and take down Izo and Mano. But to get to Mano, they first had to fight through Izo's men. 3 armored bulletproof trucks entered the village, but only one made it back. The trucks rolling in without resistance should have been the first red flag. The gang had dug holes and covered them with sandbags and camouflage. When they made it in far enough, they were ambushed. With the firefight heating up, the police decided it was time to retreat to a better position. However, unbeknownst to them, the gang had removed the sandbags covering the holes. As the trucks reversed, in an attempt to exit the area, 2 of the trucks drove right into the holes. It was an all-out firefight with Molotov cocktails raining down on them. With bullets flying, they decided it was best to stay inside and wait for reinforcement. It was clear that the gang was ready for them.
Not only were the gang ready for the assault, they also had access to radios used by the police and were able to listen to their calls for help.
The reinforcement never came. When it was all over, 4 officers had been killed, 1 truck burned, and 1 confiscated by the gang. As an insult to the police, the gang released videos and audio of the attack via social media. One to establish fear and to show their power.
The gang's actions shocked the small nation. Families and friends of the officers hit the streets, demanding the police go retrieve the bodies. Meanwhile, Izo continued taunting the police with video after video of the failed operation.
One video shows the gang counting the weapons seized during the fighting.
The gang's actions shocked the country. They post pictures of the fallen officers on social media as a warning to anyone thinking of coming after them. The failed operation had Izo's name ringing throughout Haiti. Unlike Arnel, Mano saw him as an equal, and Izo had free reign to run his side of the Village of God however he wanted. By this time, Izo had formed a rap group with himself, So Zay Pequeño and Tepa Duet, or Head Ain't Straight. His squad was young, fearless, and heavily influenced by New York drill music. They were big fans of Pop Smoke, Chef G, and Fabio Foreign. Like drill rappers, they bragged about their crimes and songs and flaunted their lifestyle on social media. The group released song after song and used social media to spread propaganda, recruit new members, and intimidate rivals. Though YouTube has banned Izo and the group, their videos continue to pop up on YouTube under new channels and accounts. It's not just YouTube, TikTok has also banned the group. But similar to YouTube, they create new accounts and find ways to get videos out. With Izo's leadership, the 5-second gang swelled to 300 members strong. The police labeled the Village of God a lost territory. Everyone inside was considered part of the 5-second gang.
The viral video of them celebrating the failed operation only fueled that image. In the video, the village youth are seen dancing and firing in the air while an armored truck burns in the background.
Fast forward to 2023, the Village of God is now a fortress for the 5-second gang. Drones in the sky, cameras on corners, and lookouts posted on rooftops. Nothing moves without them knowing. Izzo and Mano stroll their turf like kings, comfortable and untouchable in their domains.
This is a video of Izzo walking the streets of his kingdom, and in these streets he is king. As he strolls through the town, he brags about walking with no security. But he knows it won't last long. Once word gets out he's moving solo, someone from his crew will join him to make sure he's protected. As the tour rolls on, bullet holes from past shootouts with police and rival gangs are hard to miss. But according to Izzo, things are peaceful in his territories. Kids can walk to school without fear, no crime, no drama, just smiles and greetings from locals. He then points out more bullet holes, but this time on the side of a church, claiming they came from a police SWAT raid that went down on a Sunday, right in the middle of service, with no regard for who was inside. As he continued his tour, one of his men joined him to make sure he was good. Unlike gangs in the United States, his members are on payroll and see him as their only source of income, with some making more than the police that they are up against. Other gang bosses like Corporal Tilapli, Barbecue, Lamor San Jou, Chrisla, Jeff Grolua, and Vite Lom run their hoods in a similar fashion, with members getting paid based on rank and position.
Izzo and Mano are a long ways away from the Arnel days. They've created sub-units within the gang and expanded their territories. As part of GPEP, they were locked in a brutal turf war with G9, led by ex-cop turned gang boss Barbecue. For years, it was non-stop chaos, shootouts, kidnappings, innocent people caught in the crossfire. But the gang bosses say they got tired of killing each other and being used as pawns by corrupt politicians and Haiti's elites who only cared about their pockets. So they claim they decided to unite not just to stop the fighting, but to take a stand against those corrupt powers and help the country. Fast forward to March 2024. Under the new name Viv Ansanm, Live Together, they launched one of the boldest moves Haiti had ever seen. They stormed the country's main prison, set police stations on fire, and took control of the international airport. Port-au-Prince was under siege. It would take several days before the gangs would retreat back to their territories. Then came audio recordings of each gang boss proclaiming that the war among them was over, and that now they have only one goal: Vive Ensemble. The alliance was a game changer. With no rivals in the way, they move freely. Cops and brigades don't phase them outgunned and outnumbered. Now, with more firepower and cash than ever, they're untouchable. From his headquarters in the Village of God, Izzo monitors police raids in real time using drones. Posted up near key waterways, the 5-second gang runs Haiti's main smuggling lane straight into Port-au-Prince, with control over the RN2 highway and much of the western coast. They've turned vital transport routes into power checkpoints, where drugs move, guns flow, and businesses either pay or disappear.
The government, underfunded and overwhelmed, can't keep up with the gangs. Earlier in this documentary, we mentioned the hospital looted and damaged during the March 2024 chaos. It was finally set to reopen, with officials planning a ceremony to mark the occasion. But before the ribbon could be cut, Izzo's men stormed the event. Shots rang out, and a few journalists didn't make it home. Izzo watched the whole attack unfold through his drones, then dropped the footage on social media. Why the attack? To a zoo. That hospital sits on his turf, and in his world, nothing moves without ansanm approval. It's yet another flex, another warning. Nothing goes down on my turf without my say-so.
Fast forward to 2025, the government's failure to infiltrate the alliance has only made them stronger. With the fighting between them mostly over and a common enemy to focus on, the money keeps rolling in. Some of the bosses now live like Haiti's rich, building lavish homes and throwing huge festivals just to celebrate their birthdays. Jeff Canaan, aka Gros Lua, a longtime boss, weighed in on the fight in ansanm during this local interview.
We're with the population.
So you're saying you follow the people?
Yes, we're following the people.
Does this mean you are prepared to sit down with anyone that the people choose?
Anyone that the population chooses, we are prepared to sit down with them. Because we're the voice of the people can't anymore. They can't protest, they can't talk. The oligarchs left, they got in their helicopters and ran. They're paying money to stop the ansanm fight. The ansanm fight is not for me, it's not for Chrisla, it's not for Izzo. We want amnesty for the people. As for us, we're already good. I eat good, I drink good, I drive good. It's the population that's not good. It's the population that needs amnesty.
The government, however, has no interest in sitting down with the gangs. There's just been too much blood spilled. The multinational security support group that Prime Minister Henry signed with Kenya landed in Haiti in July 2024. A year later, with 800 Kenyan police officers on the ground and $200 million from the UN, most of it paid by the United States, the mission is in shambles. Instead of breaking the gangs, they've only gotten bigger. ansanm now controls 90% of Port-au-Prince. Desperate for results, the government has raised the stakes. They've branded the gangs as terrorists and unleashed kamikaze drones, flown straight into suspected gang territories and detonated on impact. One of their main targets is the Village of God. Could the drones be what finally brings the gangs down? If this documentary's shown us anything, is this: take one leader out and another's already waiting to take his place. Is it time for the government to sit down with the gangs and meet somewhere in the middle? As we've seen, many of these gangs were created by those in government. Armed vigilante groups or brigades are not the answer. Remember, most of the gang leaders were at one point part of a brigade. Mano, leader of 5 Second, was once part of the brigade that worked with the police to keep the Village of God safe. And so life goes on. The bosses continue to thrive in the chaos. Izzo and Mano still run the Village of God. Barbecue is still the face of the alliance. Lamor San Jou still rules with an iron fist. Tilapli, Jeff Gros Lua, Chrisla, all still run their territories like kings. Maybe one day they'll put the guns down and come back to civilian life. But today ain't that day.
These oiseaux à manger. Ni manger. Littéral là encore. On va normalement, ça n'a peut-être pour lui, n'a peut-être erreur. Parce qu'elle dépense pour faire son papier,